everybody, I'm Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. What's happening? Hopefully you are all having a decent Sunday. It's nice to be able to get together with you. We're going to do a little catch-up, folks, because I've been gone for a while, and I want to bring you up to speed on some other things as well, because, well, let's be honest. I got a couple of things that I can say told you so on, and I'm always a pretty big fan of that. I know that most of you have already heard since I've been gone a while about the Sean Carter, the Jay-Z case, but there have been some emails that have been leaked out between the parties involved, right? The attorneys involved in this. And in these leaked emails, you can see the deal where they said, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. You're going to drop all the charges. 10 days later, we're going to do this. And then 10 days after that. And it was all designed so that this Jane Doe, allegedly, this was all designed so that the Jane Doe was going to be able to avoid going to trial. And that's how they wrote it. You know what? All parties involved are going to be able to avoid all of this ugliness of going through a public trial and dealing with all of this. And they tricked her. You listen to the emails, and there's no mistaking what happened. They got over on her. Hey, Lee, I apologize. I'm in a home that has almost no furniture in it, so Echo City is going to be probably going to be a bit of an echo chamber. I have actually moved to a place in the house where the echo is considerably less than it was the first time I did this, which was really, really awful. Kristen Melinda is a pussycat. Just don't make her nails come out. Kristen Melinda is a fantastic mod, to be sure. Tommy Bird, thank you for being here, my friend. All of you mods are fantastic. Roberta, it is great to see you in the chat. I know that you're coming off a tough week. For everyone who doesn't know, Roberta lost her son, I believe it was 7 years ago, and she's been going through the anniversary week of that, and that's always tough. But it's so great to look out and see you here. Katy Perry is at home doing well. We'll be back to them here shortly, hopefully. But let's get back to this Jay-Z thing, people, because, boy, I caught a lot of crap when I said they made a deal, didn't I? Huh? Didn't I catch a lot of crap when I said, I promise you, man, they made a deal? Now, the fact that he decided to pull back on this thing, right, and not follow through on the obligation, well, that doesn't make the fact that they had a deal. I was right. I was right. They were cutting a deal. You know why I was right? Because it's obvious, people. It's obvious. Why are you going to go that far? You're going to do the interview. You're going to push yourself that far and then back away. Does that make any sense? Huh? I'm sorry that I've been gone for a few weeks, but maybe a little common sense coming back might not be such a bad thing. Right? For instance, let's talk about Sean Puffy Combs. Huh? Let's talk about Diddy. And we'll talk about maybe a little bit of logic. Huh? Love you too, Roberta. Let's talk about a little logic. We'll bring some of this back into the boat. So there was a superseding indictment on Diddy, and everybody has gone, kind of boring, man. The superseding indictment doesn't do jack. They're talking about employment violations and making employees work hours. I mean, these are literally the kind of stuff that you deal with an employment issue. These don't look like the kind of felonies that we're all used to. Now, there's an exception to that where one of his employees was forced to have intercourse with him and do some other foul stuff. But for the most part, they were in fear of their job or their livelihood or their life in some cases, according to some allegedly. And they were worried that if they didn't work these 16-hour days or these 20-hour days or whatever Diddy had them doing, that they were going to have their lives destroyed. Now, if we believe everything that's been said about Diddy, he's the kind of guy that will destroy someone's life. I don't know. I really don't, right? He's innocent until proven guilty. There's a lot of smoke around this guy. But I have a feeling that if you had a team of people with a lot of talent, you could put a lot of smoke around anybody. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. The number of people that come out, I have said from the word go that I want to stand with any victim who says I'm a victim until they give me a reason not to. And remember the woman that has accused Jaguar Wright and everybody else? That case is an embarrassment. I'm sorry, but that case is an embarrassment. I stood with the woman when she told the story the first time, and the first time she told it was a little jinky. But now, all of a sudden, you remember all of these things right after you already filed. You remembered that Odell Beckham Jr. was there? That seems like something you might remember. Right? Jaguar Wright had been driving you around in a car. That seems like something that you might have remembered. It's a ridiculous story. I'm sorry, it's a ridiculous story. And we know that because of where Jag was at certain times that this had to be made up whole cloth. And it leaves all of us wondering if our attorneys in on this? Now, I'm not accusing Ariel Mitchell of being in on anything. That is the woman who is representing the person that brought the lawsuit against the comedian and Jaguar Wright. Honestly, people, it's such a circus now. It has become such a circus. Hey, Jamie K, it's become such a circus now that it's hard to tell what the hell is going on. Now, I'll tell you something. The charges against Diddy that are labor related, like he was forcing people to work these long hours and that they were afraid for their lives and this and that, seems like not much of a charge, right? But put that bad boy in relation to the RICO charges and everything else he's got, and what you've got now is a life sentence. This is going to enhance the charges that are already there and mean that if Diddy is convicted, he's looking at life. This becomes really important because it's a RICO case, which means all of the other co-conspirators, they're also going to be looking at life. And that makes co-conspirators want to become cooperative really, really quickly. And I know you're going, there are no co-conspirators, Tommy. Yeah, there are. Those names haven't been released, right? There's a long witness list that has not been released. And you know why they're not releasing it? Because they're afraid that there's a chance. What did you say? I'm not interested in the JV Puffy saga except when you talk about it and then I'm here for it. Ah, Annabelle in black boots. What a kind thing to say, honestly. Well, people, this is they want to make sure that Sean Combs doesn't go after these people. You understand? This one, there's no allegedly about it. They know when they raided his cell and they found out those cool notebooks and they looked at the top of them, they didn't say legal mail, and then later on they did say they wrote legal work afterwards or whatever. And there was a list of people. We knew that he was using 8 different pack numbers. He was using those 8 pack numbers to contact the names on that list. The names on those lists are people that were going to be appearing in front of the grand jury. He was witness tampering, or call it whatever you want. He was reaching out to witnesses prior to them going to talk to the grand jury. That's frowned upon by the federal government. In fact, there are very few things that piss off the government more than when you start messing around with their trials. You start trying to jack with their system, they will rub you out. I promise you. They will come after you with a kind of hatred that is second to none. And that's happening right now. That's raining down upon him. And if you're not a law nerd, if you're not the kind of person that watches Emily D. Baker, then you're probably not grooving to a lot of the back and forth that has been taking place while I've been gone. But this is a chess match that's taken place. From the very beginning, the Diddy camp, right, the defense, has wanted to get this thing into court as fast as they possibly can. I'm talking about smoking, because they didn't believe that the prosecution could go through this kind of evidence, this mountain of freaking evidence, and then somehow, right, be prepared for a trial in, say, May, right, Cinco de Mayo. Now, to everybody, when they first set that out, people were like, oh my God, man, it's a long time from now. If you plead guilty, if you get arrested into the federal system, and you know you're going to plead guilty, you're like, nah, it's a wrap. I'm not going to fight this. I'm not going to have anything to do with this. I'm pleading guilty right now from Jump Street. You're going to be in that jail for 12 to 14 months before you get shipped to prison anyway. It's a long process. And if you're going to court, you're going to be there for years, unless your attorney demands a speedy trial, because the Constitution gives you a right to that. They were counting on a speedy trial, making it so that the government wasn't prepared. The government is prepared. And now what has happened is, in this game of chess, the government now is going to lay $3,500 or whatever articles or documents or whatever a day. They're giving to the defense so that they've got all of this and everything needs to be all wrapped up. The way that they hand this crap off, like when I got my discovery, man, they put everything in the discovery. If they talk to somebody about me and the person's, they drive out and go, hey, do you know who Tommy Scoville is? And the person goes, yeah, never heard of him. They're going to write down that person's contact information, what day they went out there, right? They'll be in the discovery, the gas vouchers of them pulling over and buying gas and doing all of this stupid crap. Because the idea is to absolutely inundate the defense with all of this crap, disorganized to beat the band. It's not like they hand it over and go, top 20 pages, that's our witness list. If you go below that, that's going to be, all the depositions. No, man. They're just trying to give you a truckload, right, of bank boxes full of everything that they can possibly stuff in there. And that's where they're at now. See, the prosecution at least looks like they're ready. And these people are talking about dates. They're talking about voir dire. Everybody, all of the pundits from Jump Street were saying, I don't see this possibly going off on May 5th. Now, I told you, I saw Jay-Z cutting a deal, right, that they definitely were cutting a deal behind the scenes. There's no way everybody just dropped all that at once within 10 days. I was right on that. I was wrong on this trial. I mean, now they're saying they're going to go to court on May 12th. Now, there's a lot of pundits, there's a lot of people out here, opinion people, influencers, whatever the hell you want to call them, who are saying the reason that Diddy's attorney that quit last week, the reason that dude bailed is because he thinks there's no chance in hell you can defend Diddy in the short time that he's got to put this defense together. And his conscience wasn't going to let him play that game. Now, I don't know about all that. I mean, I don't. And neither do they. It's a theory. I throw them out too. But I've been gone for a while. Now, I don't know about that theory. I mean, it may hold error. I don't know. I really don't. But I can tell you this. If this puppy goes, if this thing goes to trial in the first 2 weeks of May, this is going to be a shit show. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. This is going to be, I just don't understand how anybody could take the mountain of evidence that these people are talking about, in terabytes, and that they're going to have all of this stuff ready. I mean, the defense basically is starting from now. Keep it real. They got the Enterprise letter. We didn't hear it, right? We don't know any of the good leaks, right? But they got the Enterprise letter. They know who all the co-conspirators are. Right now, the defense knows. They want that leaked. You know why? Because if it doesn't get leaked and that person does get tampered with, well, then it's got to be these people who do it. But if it gets leaked out to the public and then somebody starts going and harassing this person, well, then they can always do that same crap that Sean Carter did, right, when they started talking about him. Oh, yeah, man, maybe some people went down there with some fake badges, but I don't even know those dudes, man. They were just trying to do a solid for me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They were just trying to do a solid, Your Honor. If that list gets leaked, there's no reason to believe that Diddy wouldn't try to play with that witness list. He's already tried before, right? We know this. And he's also allegedly, if you believe Keefy D, Keefy D said, look, man, Diddy bragged to him about buying a jury, man, right? About already doing that once. I think it's going to be a lot harder to do in the feds. I really do. I think it's going to be a whole lot harder to do in the feds. But I kind of believe that the only chance that this dude's got now is something like jury nullification. I'm sure you guys know what that is, where you just decide that you're going to go, yeah, I don't care about the evidence or whatever. We're going to say he's not guilty. It can happen, right? We saw it. We've seen it many times. 12 days? What? Man, I wish I had my trophy here. Do me a favor, crowd. Can you please toss up some trophies for Valerie 102, who is 12 days sober today? It's hard, but I've done it before, so I can do it again. Well, good for you. Seriously, you know what? All of this other stuff we're talking about, right? We're gonna touch on a lot of stuff. None of it is gonna be more important than that. Right? That's pretty much it. That is about as cool as it gets. And yeah, there you go. Trophy, 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 trophy. Yes. Congratulations. I want to tell you something. Nothing floats my boat more than that. really is very cool. Valerie, congratulations. That is a beautiful thing. People have been, I'm in a totally different part of the world, you see. And I live in the high desert where it is really, really dry. And where I am is not, and it's taken a little getting used to. But Valerie, that is awesome. It really is. So let's talk a little bit about Blake Lively, shall we? Put a deuce in the chat if when I stopped talking about Blake Lively, if you kept following it. A thumper, I love that. I love that. And we'll be here. We'll be here. You know, I had to take some time off to make some money. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, folks, this was an opportunity that that wasn't going to come along. It just doesn't happen every day, you know. And it's thing in the world. Dan C, I am so sorry. Hi, Tommy and crew. My heart is hurting today. One of my dear close friends from my recovery program passed away suddenly yesterday after a 10-year fight with leukemia. It's been a very bad day. Can we get some thoughts and prayers, some virtual hugs for Dan C? I am so sorry. I really am. I am so sorry. That's awful. I love you too, Thumper. Hey, Brandon Calloway, good to see you, brother. I'm glad you're here. So, let's talk a little bit about this Blake Lively case. It's pretty wild. This is, I guess, the reason that I'm taking so much joy in this, because I'll be honest, I'm struggling to find joy in people crashing and burning these days, right? It's not, I don't know what kind of person I am if I'm finding pleasure in that kind of stuff. I mean, justice, though, is another thing altogether. And Justin Baldoni is getting justice, and it's coming out every single day. Dan C, I love that. And I'm glad that you went to 2 meetings. Did you hear that, people? Hey, look, if you're in a place and you're hurting, there are a lot of places out there where you can get human connection. And there are, I have said a million times, 12-step programs. Like, I will go to one today. For me, the danger in 12-step programs was when I was really fresh and really new and quitting. Because where I lived, a lot of people were court-ordered and forced to go there, and I would go in and see guys I knew that were wasted. And you'd make eye contact and end up in the parking lot relapsing. And it was, once they started court-ordering people into those programs, I think it watered them down. And I think that that's unfortunate, you know. But they're fantastic programs. And being smart enough to know that you have to get that feeling that, you know what, I'm going to go grab a meeting because I'm going to be a hell of a lot safer if I do. My hat is off to you. That is, right, this is the difference between somebody that makes their next sobriety goal, right, and recovery, knowing when to reach out, knowing when to ask for help. Suffering in silence will never, ever work, you know, honest to God. There's never been a therapist, you can ask Kristen Lundy, you know, she's one. There's never been a therapist that said, here's what you want to do. Take all of that hurting and all of that pain and take it and internalize it. Hold it in as deep as you can. Don't tell anybody about it, right? Just leave it there. Shit will get better. I promise. Just give that a shot. Said nobody ever that ever worked in that line. Because it doesn't work that way. You know, it really doesn't. People fix people. No, I agree with you. Just Joan makes a pretty good point. And she says, don't feel sorry for Blake. She intentionally tried to destroy another human, and that is beyond not nice. I agree with you. I honestly do. I feel for her family, right? And the people around her. Because one of the things that I've learned, a lot of you have asked me questions recently about friends of mine. A lot of you have asked me questions about my best friend in the world and what's going on with him. And I will never answer one of those questions again as long as I live. And the reason is there are some sick, sick people on this planet. And when you share parts of your life with them, they go out of their way to hurt those people. They go out of their way to find out where those people are, and they do everything they can through writing letters and calling people to hurt individuals, solely because I may have said that this person means a lot to me. So these days, if I don't if I don't bring you up to speed about things that are happening, it's because I don't want to give targets and dates for some of the sick people that are out here in this world. Now, before we say anything foul and nasty about them in the chat, number one, we don't know who they are. So we're not going to randomly choose to blame somebody that we don't know. But if you believe in prayers, maybe say a prayer for them. Because the kind of sickness that requires to do, that's a level of human depravity that the average person doesn't hit, even if you stick needles in your arms all day or hitting, the glass pipe. And there are people in the chat today who have taken crap loads of abuse because they've decided to hang out and continue to listen to me talk here. For that, I apologize. But I also take my hat off to you for standing by the people here that mean the world to you. And if I'm one of them, that's great. If I'm not, I understand. But the crowd here is a pretty solid group of people. In fact, they're about as solid a group of people as you're ever going to come across. All right, so let's get back to this woman really quickly. The leaks that have come out of this. She got slapped in court like no one on earth has ever been slapped in court. And her husband no-showed for her, by the way. She went to court alone, which is, I don't know, man. That just does, to me, that's cowardly, right? He's obviously deeply, deeply involved in this. And the more you research it, if you go all the way back to the beginning now, allegedly what happened is he read some of the stuff that were, the lines and things that were being brought home from the daily shoots, and decided that, this movie about DV could be a little bit funnier. It's like, going to see Schindler's List and saying, good film, but, I didn't laugh much through it. Right? I don't think that movie was ever intended to make anybody laugh. However, he decided that he wanted to interject himself into that and do that kind of thing that he does everywhere. And he seems to have had the world snowed for a long time. Oh boy, the trolls are going to love that one, aren't they? They're going to be like, holy crap, look who's calling the kettle. This guy had the reputation for being the kindest person in Hollywood. I've kind of had a reputation for being a bank robber since I started this, right? But this guy had the reputation for being the kindest guy in Hollywood. And turns out that's not the case. So he and his wife allegedly start this whole lawsuit thing to go after Baldoni for what? Well, maybe because there was some sparks there and caused some kind of a weird dynamic. But they're losing at every single part of this. Like, they went into court, and if you guys remember, last we met, she was asking for a small amount of discovery. I think she said something along the lines of, I want to go back to before phones were cellular and have every record, every phone call you've ever made. I'm being facetious. But she wanted to go back years and get years of metadata from the person. And the judge just slapped it down and said, this is absolutely silly, right? You're not the feds. This isn't, you're not the FBI. And this isn't a fishing expedition that I'm going to allow you to go crazy on. In fact, this is kind of ridiculous. And as the person went down the lawsuit, he basically said, to every point that they were going into court, he almost laughed her out of court. And by all accounts, the people that were in there, she was pretty pissed. She was leaning over and ferociously jabbering at her mouthpiece, at her paid attorney. The only victory, it seems so far, is that they're going to do everything they can to keep the names of famous people out of this, right? To try to protect them and their careers and their families and whatever. Because, let's keep it real. Like, would you want the Swifties mad at you? Like, I'm pretty happy with my troll base. The Swifties would be a pretty tough crew to go after you. But Taylor Swift is involved in this puppy. I don't know how she couldn't be, right? This is kind of a legitimate thing. Wolf in sheep's clothing, that Ryan dude. Yep. A form of silent, hidden evil. It's funny that you say that. because everybody seems to say this, right? It's an odd thing that so many different people in Hollywood from so many different walks of life are now coming forward. And I'll tell you something. This is such a great example on a much larger scale of what it is like when these BS things blow up and people start firing at each other and trying to destroy each other and stuff. It's wild to watch it on a really grand scale, right? Because Hugh Jackman is in a bromance, you heard this term, right? He's in a bromance with Ryan Reynolds. And now, I can't tell you the number of, so I got to get back into that deep dive and looking at videos and doing things. And the number of articles written, the number of videos that have been made about the fact that those two, right, are on the DL. Oh, allegedly, those two are on the DL. Oh, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman's first wife was a lot older than he was, right? And a lot of people from the beginning thought it was kind of a weird relationship. I don't honestly know a lot about their early relationship, but he seemed to have gotten into a new relationship very fast afterwards. I'm not sure where all of the gay stuff comes from, unless it's just brutal stereotypes. Because number one, the guy does a lot of Broadway shows. He's excellent at singing and dancing, and he also played a character in a movie or on a play once, rather, that where there was some. He played a gay character, and there was not any kissing written into the script, but apparently he had some written in. I'll tell you something. If you're getting into the part, that doesn't make you gay. But it's a great example, right? Because of the fact that these people's lives over here are going to blow up, then they're going to go after everybody in this cat circle. Because why? Well, because we all want to hear about this saga. So if we can pick someone else off who's on the periphery, who maybe did something with Blake and crew 5 years ago, or did something with Ryan and crew 5 years ago. So now they're so damn concerned about it that this is one of the points that Blake Lively was most concerned about when she made her court appearance, was trying to get some kind of a gag order that kept people from going after the friends, the close friends of these famous people, so that their reputations and everything aren't damaged. I say good luck with that, right? Good luck with that. Maybe these people will stop firing back and forth at each other. But Candace Owens isn't gonna. She did a fantastic piece on this. Got a lot of the stuff talking about it from her. She was covering this. Is there a trial date set for Diddy? There is. Officially, the trial date is supposed to start on Cinco de Mayo. That would be the day that they start getting, boom, ready to go. Now, they say that may get pushed back to the 12th, right? Not a massive pushback. I mean, honestly, all things considering, a pretty damn small one. But they may push it back to the 12th. 2027, 2025. Diddy will be going for his criminal case in 2 months. Diddy will be going for his criminal case in 2 months. The B lady, says Candace Owen rocks. I'm a fan. She does fantastic research, and she's sort of clawed her way up. And now, because, if you're one of those people that goes out and really kind of chases things down and really works their butt off, eventually you end up with, a team where you got 5 or 6 people, and you can send investigators out to do things, and you can send people to chase stuff down. That's got to be fun. That's got to be a dream. But she is, she's impressive. Sandy Wendy says, I'm a fan too. I think probably most people would be. Yeah, is this not pretty much everybody's opinion on this? I think everybody thought that this was going to get drawn out. However, if you talk to legal experts, if you get into this kind of a trial, and by this kind of a trial, I mean, there's more evidence to go through in this. I mean, I'm sure that it's probably not a record. There's probably something, with, and I don't know this to be a fact. I'm just throwing it out there, but like a Bernie Madoff kind of a thing where you had a Ponzi scheme where there are so many victims that when you start gathering up all the paperwork for things like that, that may have generated a larger discovery than what Diddy's doing. But this is big. This is a lot. And for them to say, you know, when they got arrested in September, yeah, we'll be ready to go in May. This was a chess match from the word go. And the fact that one of Diddy's lawyers quits, again, this is an opinion, right? I think that there are people on the defense who are concerned that they're not prepared. That maybe Mark Agnifilo played this wrong. Maybe this was a bad bet to try to say, you know, we want a speedy trial, because it looks like they had their ducks in a row before they ever charged him. And I've said this so many times. If you guys remember way back when they did the raid on the Diddy house, but on both of his houses, whatever, and they didn't arrest him. There was a lot of you saying, why the hell isn't Diddy getting arrested? And I said, look, when the feds arrest you, they're pretty much ready to get you. Like, they're ready to go to court. You know, they've got all of their ducks in a row. How are you and Johnny doing? Like the little hiatus? Well, honestly, we're probably working more during this hiatus than than we do during normal time, right? But it's I think I miss it. Sorry. I'm at the allegedly compilation. Deep down on that road and trucking. I'm busy as can be, but I'm enjoying being away from the camera. First break I've had in about 9 years, says Johnny Scoville. Yeah. And Thumper says the Southern District had Diddy wrapped up and wearing a bow before they made their move. And I agree with you, Thumper, straight up, right? And this is their MO. Keep it real. There's a reason they got a 98% conviction rate. There is a reason. And one of them, there's a lot of reasons, but one of them is they intimidate the hell out of the normal folk, right? P. Diddy's got a couple of $100 million lying around. So he can put together a defense to actually try to go against the largest law firm in the United States of America, which we call the Department of Justice, and the largest investigative firm on earth, which we call the FBI. That's who Diddy's fighting. It's the United States of America against Sean Combs. So he has a couple of $100 million and he can fight him. The average American, there's no way in hell any lawyer is going to let this go to the box, right? Go to trial. Because they're going to sit their client down and they're going to say, the odds that we win this, right, are less than 10%. So if you have all the money in the world, you go, well, yeah, I'd put the money up. For 10% chance of freedom, what are you losing? Here's what you're losing. If you don't plead guilty, you don't get a downward departure on your sentence. By accepting responsibility for the crime, they're going to drop you 3 or 4 points. That 3 or 4 points is going to save a lot of prison time. A lot. So they intimidate people massively. If you're just a normal American that gets charged, it's really kind of frightening because there's a really good chance that they can throw the book at you. You could be looking at there are horror stories, tons of them, where a guy said, "We'll give you 5 years." They offer him 5 years on a deal, and he goes, "If you're offering me 5 years, you probably ain't got squat on me, right? Because that's, it's not much of a sentence." Yeah, so go ahead, right? Screw it. Let's go to court. I don't think you got much. And then they go out and build a really good case, right? And they go in there and manage to beat him, and they give him 28 or 38 years. Does that sound fair? Because it's not. The system is absolutely stacked. They stack the deck against you massively. So now, not for Diddy. Diddy's got money to burn. So he hires Mark Agnifilo. And he's not alone. Mark Agnifilo's got, 4 or 5 other attorneys. One just quit. But RICO just quit. But There's still a big team of lawyers, and I can't begin to tell you how many paralegals and court reporters and people like that, because when this discovery comes in, like I said, man, it's like a shuffled deck of cards. Now you got to go in there and start pulling out all of this stuff and getting it into some form of, no, Diddy is not claiming he's guilty. What I said was, if he did claim he was guilty, I need to blow my nose. If he did claim he was guilty, he would save a lot of time off of his sentence. But there's no way that Diddy is going to plead guilty, because he has no incentive. Diddy has no incentive to plead guilty. He's looking at a life sentence. If they were to say to him, all right, we're going to put a deal on the table, what's the deal going to be? 30 years? What's the deal on a life sentence? If what you're facing is life and you plead guilty, we got to give you something for pleading guilty. What are we going to give you? 30? Diddy and I are the same age, almost exactly. A 30-year sentence is a death sentence. It's just like getting life in prison. You can call it whatever the hell you want, right? But you're done. So, no, there's not going to be a deal for Diddy. Unless, right? The only shot that they've got of putting a deal together for him is if he could walk in there and say, and I'm not alleging any of this, people. I'm telling you, this is the only way it would work. Is if he were to walk in and say, tell you what I'll do. I'll give you Clive Davis, right? I'll give you Lucien Grange. I'll give you Jacob the Jeweler. I'll give you all of these people that allegedly were tied up in a lot of these parties doing a lot of really nasty stuff, right? You feel me? So where we're at is the defense has got a very, very short period of time to get this thing put together, because the prosecution is ready to roll. And every time they go back into court and go in front of Subramanian and start talking about scheduling, every time the prosecution will defer, right? The government will go, well, we're ready. If you guys need a couple of extra days. I mean, if you read the transcripts, you can seriously listen to them sort of turning the knife. Oh, we're ready. Oh, we're ready for you, right? Take all the time you need. Dan C. says, I guess he figures if he pleads guilty, he gets 30 years, which, like you said, is life. If he's found guilty, he gets life anyway. He may as well take the chance and rely on his high-powered defense. That, and I'll tell you the other reason, man. The other reason is ego. In order to cut this deal, he's got to walk into that court, right? And he has to say, I did it. And on top of that, this is the feds, where they don't say, do you plead guilty, not guilty? You know, you plead before you get there. Then when you go in for the sentencing and all that, you can remain silent in the state. They'll say, do you want to make a statement? They can say to you, we want elocution as part of the deal. In other words, you're going to admit what the hell you did. You're going to stand there and go, yeah, I went into banks. I told them I wanted the money. I put it in the bag. I walked out. Whatever the hell your crime is, you got to go in and articulate it. And I don't think, because of this guy's international fame, right? Because everybody in the world knows who Sean Combs is. He's never going to be the guy that goes in and does an elocution and says, yes, I did this, this, and this. And yeah, I did that to this person and this. There's no chance. There's no chance whatsoever. But, Tommy, would the feds trade letting him off if he turned in all of those folks? If he turned in all of the people, I mean big names, right? Really big names above him, no. I don't think that they would let him go. What he could probably do, though, is chisel himself down to a sentence that would give him an opportunity to have an out date, right? The difference, if you go to prison, you either have an out date of when you're going to be getting out of prison, or you're looking at life, right? The LP, the long play, the album. But it's one or the other, right? It's and Diddy could cut a deal. he could probably cut a deal to get an out date. But it's not going to be something that's going to be enough to excite somebody like Sean Combs, right? This guy lived in the lap of luxury forever. So if they came back and said, all right, roll on everybody, show us how the whole thing works, right? Every single person that you've ever had work with you on this, right? And we'll give you, 15 years. I can't see him doing it. Feds don't have to give defense all discovery before the trial like in the state court, correct? No, they do, Lisa Ayers. They have to absolutely give them all of the discovery before trial. However, it's very odd. You negotiate for how that discovery is going to get there. Now, normally, they're not fighting the freaking clock. Normally, you're not looking at trying to get all of this terabytes of stuff delivered over to the defense in such a small window of time, and then they've only got, a month and a half to get together? To get a defense together? Let's assume that Diddy went in and said to his attorneys, all right, man, here's the things that I really did, right? I'm guilty of this, this, and this. And yeah, there was an assault, and it was on this person, it was on such and such a date. So that the defense can at least start to put together some kind of an idea. In other words, you get charged with being a murderer. You're accused of taking this person off of planet Earth. It's a pretty cut and dry thing. You don't need all the discovery for you and your defense to start putting together an actual defense, because you know exactly what the hell you're being charged with. Yeah, it's going to help to know how much evidence they got, and if they've got fingerprints, and if they've got all of this stuff. But you know what the hell you're being accused of. This is a very odd case, because the RICO is such a large umbrella, right, that the defense is in there going, okay, well, yeah, we're human T, we know that. Forced labor, right, we know that. But with the list of people that allegedly have been victims of this guy, we're looking at, the scope of it is just wild. There's no way Diddy could sit down with the attorneys ahead of time and say, let me spit out exactly what this whole case is. Hell, who the hell knows what this whole case is? They found out last week with the Enterprise letter. When they got that Enterprise letter, which was redacted, we don't know names and stuff like that. But when they got that letter, now Diddy knows exactly who else is getting charged with him. They know what it's sort of been explained to them. And we're supposed to see some more names, because they've been protecting a lot of people on this witness list. Right? The government's been protecting a lot of people whose names are on this witness list because they're afraid of the malicious crap that's going to take place once their name gets out into the public. And you know what? It would happen to them. It would happen to them even if the diddler, right, didn't try to. He'd have fans that would go after these people. He'd have fans that would go after these people and call them liars and call the cops on them and do all of these crazy things that fanatics do, right? Like a Diddy fan, if there are still Diddy fans left. The word fan comes from the word fanatic, and very often there is a fanatical kind of love or a fanatical kind of hate for public figures. And I would say that Diddy is in the eye of the storm right now, right? He couldn't be in a worse place. They dropped the boom during the actual trial. That would scare the you-know-what out of me. So yeah, Lisa, here's the thing. They're going to give you, you're going to get all the discovery. But it might be 35,000 pages. And then when you start getting, and it would be a lot bigger for Diddy, but then as you start getting much closer, they're going to have to turn you over a witness list. They don't have to say to you, the 3 people on this list of 50 that I'm actually going to put on the stand are these 3 people. All they have to say is, here is our witness list of 50 people. Here are here are the depositions we did with all of them or whatever, but you never know which ones they're going to put on the stand. So they're going to be so just over friggin' whelmed with trying to get all of this put together. I still believe there's a chance that this thing is going to get bumped. So if these folks got on the witness stand, they would blow him in. If these people get on the witness stand, we would assume, right, if the federal government is calling these people to the stand, we believe that obviously there's enough dirt that these people have on him. It's compelling enough for them to call him as witnesses. And I say that, right, specifically, right? There's a reason I'm saying that it has to be compelling. Because if you look at what we have seen since the Cassie Ventura tape came out, and I know some of you are going to ask about the Cassie Ventura tapes. We'll talk about that in a minute. But all of the developments that have come out in the Diddy case since the Cassie Ventura tape broke on CNN has been unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Dozens and dozens of accusations, right? We're up to 60 or something. And each one a little bit more heinous than the one before it, right? They just keep getting worse and worse. But now, we already know of two that were complete BS, right? And I'm not talking about the one that just got thrown out by the Jay-Z thing. That's not what I'm talking about. They wouldn't have been cutting a deal if that was BS. I think something happened to that poor girl, and I think she just got really screwed over by some attorneys. And the fact that Sean Carter's proud of that says a lot about who he is, right? Sue me for saying that, but it says a lot about who you are. If you're high-fiving and bragging to the world that, well, we told them we had a deal, but then once all the charges were dropped, we gave them this one here. Yeah, you're classy. You're classy. My dad asked me what a freak off was yesterday. I just said it's the kind of party you wouldn't want to go to, Dad. He said freak means weirdo, right? I don't want to party with any weirdos. You're right. Well, I'll tell you what, Valerie. Your dad nailed it. What does bumped mean? They might bump the trial means that they're going to push it a little bit further out. If that may be how I used the word. I may have said he bumped him off, which means removed him from planet Earth. I don't exactly remember how I used bumped. But if I was talking about a trial getting bumped, they're just going to move it forward. They're gonna turn it down, and it happens a lot in normal cases for normal people. When they say, yeah, you're going to court on December the 7th. I remember telling this guy, I'm like, yeah, my sentencing's December 7th. He said it won't be. They'll move it like 4 times, because there are so many cases going on, and there are so many lawyers that are practicing in 4 different courts, and they really have to. They got to bend around backwards almost to make all of the court cases. To make it all work. So, no, Diddy was not doing this stuff alone. And here's what I mean by that. The RICO law gives us the opportunity as a country to charge, let's say you got a gang, right? Let's say you got a street gang. And that street gang, the guy that runs it orders a drive-by shooting at someone's house. The person comes by with the pew-pew and he lights up the house. And 4 people get hit. 3 of them don't make it, right? They leave planet Earth. They can charge the guy that ordered the hit. They can charge the 4 guys that were in the car driving. And they can theoretically, under RICO, charge every single member of that gang with the same crime. If they RICO that gang and there is a body involved or 2 bodies involved, those bodies go on all parties. Now, who would that be in this case? We know that he had to procure chemicals like GHB and like the MDMA and the shrooms and all of the stuff that he allegedly kept in his assault pack, his little party fanny pack thing that he carried around that all the employees had to carry around. Perk 30s and blow and pink blow and all the stuff. Somebody was out getting those substances. We think we know who that is because in the early days of this trial, we saw the guy that they called the drug mule. Brendan is his name, or Brandon. He could be one of the names on the list. But the people that were providing the chemicals, they're going to be RICO'd into this. The people that were renting the hotel rooms, that were aware of what he was doing inside there. Anybody that was aware of the fact that Diddy was committing crimes, and yet they continued to work at this place to help facilitate him keeping those crimes going, they're all subject to being charged the exact same way as he is. So these superseding indictments and the original indictments and all that, they could be going on 4 people, 5 people, 6 people, 10 people. I think most of us that have followed the Diddy trial or the Diddy verse or whatever you want to call this up to this point are kind of under the assumption that KK, Christina Karam, is going to be charged, right? That's kind of a sitter. I think that's a safe bet. But who knows, right? Right from the very beginning, you know, I have said to you guys, the feds are big on turning people, right? The feds want to turn you. They want to turn you from a defendant to a prosecution witness, right? A witness for the state or for the feds. And there are going to be a lot of people in that bad boy universe, right, that weren't deep. They weren't deep in this. Maybe they were going in after the party and cleaning up, because we've already heard one of those cats did an article, I believe, an interview rather. I think it was in Rolling Stone magazine. If I'm wrong on that, I know someone will correct me, but I think it was in Rolling Stone magazine. And this person was talking about what it takes to clean up after one of these parties. And we're talking about, there's not a human fluid that you can think of that these people weren't, like it's hazmat crew kind of stuff. The kind of parties that these guys were throwing, that Diddy was allegedly throwing, trash hotel rooms, leave really, really large bills for repairs and all that. And Diddy's got the Mr. Wolf crew that comes in afterwards and cleans the whole thing up, right? Allegedly, this is what he's got. So those people, they know what took place in that room. That means they're the cleanup crew for the crime. I got news for you. If you go out and cab somebody and you call me up and go, Tommy, man, just look, all I want you to do is help me clean up my garage. And I go in there and clean up that garage, I'm in deep doo-doo, right? I'm an accessory. Now, if it gets RICO'd, I'm no longer an accessory. I'm just as guilty as if I pulled that trigger. So there's going to be a lot of potential. There's going to be a lot of potential witnesses and a lot of potential defendants, because think of all of the different companies that this dude was either running or involved with. The liquor brand, Diageo, he was a rep. He went to them and said, I dig Ciroc vodka and I bet I can push the hell out of it. I throw these huge parties, help me sponsor them, bring some money in. And he cut a deal with them where he was getting paid a certain amount per case that was sold or whatever. He never owned any of it. But he got a fat paycheck when he bailed out. Fat one. But there was the Diageo brand. There was Sean John, which incorporated eyewear and men's cologne, women's perfume, things like that. He had his hand in a lot. And then, of course, there was the record label. And then he had his own TV station, right? Or his own, I don't know what you call it. TV's kind of dead, whatever you call it. Revolt TV, remember? There's a lot going on in this cat's life. How many of those people, were there people at Revolt that knew what he was doing? Were there people at Sean John that knew what he was doing? There were definitely people at Bad Boy that knew what he was doing, right? Because those are the people we keep hearing about in these lawsuits. And the superseding indictments are going to be people from that worked at Bad Boy that are going to say, he forced me to have sex with him, and we worked 16-hour days and we basically got beat, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, or with threats of I'm going to take you off the planet, or I'm going to ruin your career, ruin your reputation, destroy you, go after your family. It doesn't sound all that bad, does it? Because with everything else we've heard about Diddy, when you start hearing about, well, they made him work late, it doesn't sound like it's all that bad, but it's one more part of that chess game. What they're doing is they're tossing another enhancement on there, so that if he gets convicted, forget about it. Now we have turned this into a life sentence, guaranteed. He gets convicted. They run the table on him, Diddy ain't getting out. He has breathed his last breath of fresh air. And you know what he will do for the rest of his life? He will spend the rest of his life going, I had all of that time to try to get out of this country, and I turned myself in. The hell was I thinking? That's what he's going to spend the rest of his life thinking about. Probably. I mean, he had a lot of money, but I bet you his attorney, like we've talked about here a million times, Sean, relax. Come out here, turn yourself in. You're a celebrity. Everybody knows who you are. We'll have you out on bail in a couple of days. No big deal. Now, let's talk about the Cassie Ventura tape before we finish this thing up. We saw that tape. The defense has said that tape's been messed with. Okay? That tape's been messed with. It's not the original. Number one, how do they know that? But the defense says this isn't the original tape. It's been edited. It's been cut. CNN did that. CNN put out a statement that said, we never cut it. That's how it was given to us, but we destroyed the original, which sounds a little hanky right off the word go, doesn't it? It's like the dog ate my homework kind of thing, man. But that's what everybody is saying. You know, this is the thing, right? They want it thrown out. They want it thrown out because it's been manipulated, it's been played with. As it turns out, that's not the case. There's been another statement now, and now CNN allegedly is saying, no, we got it in its original form, in the way that we got it from whoever we got it from. No, we got an original of that. But that's a copy of a copy. It has to be. The original would have been at what was then the Intercontinental Hotel. But I got news for you. I don't know, people. Seems to me that no matter what you do to that tape, if you edit that into 1 second segments, so he didn't kick her in the head, he didn't throw a vase at her, he didn't drag her down the hallway by her hair. I know that there are people on planet Earth that believe that words are just as violent as, and words can do damage. They really can. They can do incredible damage. But watching him beat the hell out of that woman on tape, I don't think that the judge, Subramanian, is going to buy any bullshit for what happened to that tape or what version you did to it or whatever. You think there's a chance in hell of that tape getting thrown out? There isn't. No, it just will never happen. Not with this judge, man. I just do not see it happening. Especially, you talk about some of the big mistakes that people make, and everyone said, why would they have let that woman who was suing Jay-Z and Diddy, why would they let her go on NBC? You want to talk about a bad decision? Why would they have let her do an NBC interview? And I get that, right? Most attorneys would tell you, you don't want your client going on TV, right? That's a super bad decision. But you know what was a worse decision? If Diddy planned on later on in life saying that didn't happen, maybe coming out and doing an apology video on it the following day and admitting it wasn't such a good idea, right? I mean, he came out and he made a half-ass attempt at making an apology video. But doesn't much matter, Any way you look at that thing. What it is a man dragging a woman down a hallway by the hair. And her story is it's because she didn't want to be in a room with 2 hired Smex workers, right? And the Bang-O-Matic 2000 sex machine. I'm being funny. It ain't going to get thrown out. Subramanian does stuff by the books. A little late. Hello. Is that Marta? Marta, good to see you. Welcome. Late's okay. Glad that you're here. Cindy G, good to see you. But that's where we're at with basically, I've given you the rough ones, but I'll tell you what, tomorrow should be a big day. Tomorrow, allegedly tomorrow they're going to have to release the names because the Subramanian has said that as much as he would like to protect these people, the list cannot remain under seal forever. So we're about to get some names, man. There's going to be some stuff to talk about in the Diddyverse tomorrow. I promise you that. And you know what? I'm going to get a fantastic night's sleep, and I'll be ready to roll with it when the information comes up. I will bring it to you. I hope you all will be back tomorrow night, it's pretty good to be back among my family. It really is, and you guys are. Thank you to my mods, as always. You guys are the greatest. Between now, folks, and the next time that I see you, do yourself and everyone else a favor, and let's try to do a little less harm, huh? Speaking of which, I'm going to go eat a gummy and go to sleep, because these things that I bought work like a charm. All right, people, we'll see you on the next one. God bless.